Welcome to That's My Biz, the Internet Business Showcase, where we bring exposure to products, services, and special causes of local businesses and organizations. Thank you so much for joining us. We are coming to you live from the BizLinks TV studio. Brought to you by Visual Marketing Mentors, LLC. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of That's My Biz. I'm Pamela Alexander, your host, and as always, we're excited to bring to you the wonderful businesses, nonprofit organizations, and associations that we meet while we're out there networking, because you need to know about their great products and services and their special causes. And today I have with a special guest, Attorney Jelani Miller. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Everyone, want to share a little bit with you about Jelani because he has a vast background. I'll let him fill you in on some of those details, but he is the founder of the Miller Law Group, and it's a boutique entertainment and intellectual property law firm based in Atlanta. His clients include recording artists, songwriters, producers, independent labels, actors, directors, writers, managers, and production companies. So a lot of business going on. So we want to dive right in and get to some of the specifics. The first thing I want to know about is tell me exactly what is intellectual property law?
Okay, well, my practice, as you mentioned, consists of intellectual property law and entertainment law.
Okay.
On the IP side, intellectual property is essentially a legal way to protect intangible assets, intangible rights. So the same way you protect your physical property, we can help protect your creations, your ideas in certain instances with intellectual property law. The main areas of law that are concentrated in IP are patents, trademarks, and copyrights.
Okay.
There's other forms such as trade secrets and the like, but the main three are copyright, patents, and trademarks.
Okay, and we often, everyone always says a phrase or something and then says, you need to trademark that.
Right.
Now, what is the real importance of trademarking certain things, and are there certain things that really don't need to be trademarked?
Well, it really depends. I mean, it's really hard to say. My inclination is always protect your interests. So if you're a small business, if you're an individual that comes up on the trademark side with a particular slogan, logo, or something along those lines to identify your sources of goods, either a product or your service, and separate you from your competitors, you need to protect that, and that would be protected under trademark law. It's essential to do it. I know a lot of small businesses feel maybe it's not necessary to do it, but the big boys do it, and you can do it too, and it's probably more cost effective than you think.
Okay, and then also, so even beyond kind of just the slogans, but what about company names, or especially if it's your own name?
Well, in the case of surnames, it's really hard to protect those things under trademark rules, but there are different state law rules that you can protect things. Again, we're going to be talking about a special mark, a special identifying mark that separates you from your competitors. So those things you can protect, and my advice is always contact someone like myself who can help you determine what is the best route of action to take to protect your IP.
Okay, and so definitely I'm glad you segued into that and why someone should use a professional like you, because a lot of people want to try to go online and do it themselves.
Yeah.
Tell me some of the pitfalls of that and why they should use a professional.
Well, I mean, there are ways you can do this yourself, but it's always best to use a professional if you're a serious business person, because there are things that going online you won't be able to find. You just don't have the access to certain databases. And a lot of small businesses in particular think, okay, I've done a Google search, so therefore I didn't see anything, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. Let's make sure that when I think about IP in small businesses, I look at it in three ways. You want to protect, exploit, and defend. Or in other words, you want to save money and then make money.
Right.
And to do that, you have to have proper protection, because you don't want to go out there spend a lot of money on products or logos or packaging, and you've done a Google search and you think you're okay, and then next you know you're getting a cease and desist letter from 10 states over saying you're infringing on my right. So now you have to spend money to defend this, and you've wasted money in buying all these products and and all that. So if you would have took the time, spent a little bit of money up front, and hired a professional to do a robust search, making sure we cover not only state laws but also federal and international trademarks, and then you'll know that you'll be protected.
Yeah, and it's fantastic because it reminds me, my husband and I went through this not that last year on getting an international trademark, and that's exactly what we were able to save ourselves, and going one route where it's kind of out there, really learning the odds of it really being accepted. Do you put the money in up front to find out that it's not available, or that you're not going to be able to get it, but kind of doing some things first and up front to at least have a little idea of before you go and make that full investment.
Yeah, and that's something that in part of our practice is we develop an IP strategy with our clients. So that's kind of the first step. So we'll look at what your plans are now, what you have right now, and then what you're projecting for the future. And we'll give you a roadmap, essentially saying these are the steps that you need to take to protect yourself and to be able to make the most money off of your intellectual property or your intangible assets. So in the course of doing that, people always realize, okay, I can spend a few $100s now and kind of see the landscape of what's out there. Then maybe, a few months down the line, I can spend a little bit more to make sure that I'm protected. But in the long run, that's going to save me thousands of dollars if it comes that I had an idea that I can't use, or I may get sued by someone else for using that idea. Or once we go through the strategy, we find ways to license, we find ways to monetize those rights. And that's why I said, as an intellectual property attorney, my goal is not only to protect your rights, but to exploit them, to get them out there so not only will you benefit from it, by using it, but also get a financial gain from it as well.
Okay. Now, how about once you have it, then do you come into play with helping make sure that it does stay protected, that someone else isn't using it? So do you work with people for kind of having to go after people that are using
Exactly.
it?
That's what I mentioned earlier. Protect, exploit, and defend. Defending is the last thing, and that's what you're referring to right now. So we provide programs, really cost-effective programs, to monitor your IP rights so that we're doing your legwork. If you're a small business owner, you're not going to spend, countless amount of time making sure that someone in Alaska is not ripping off your goodwill. So that's what we do. We make sure we police the IP. And then when we find an infringer or someone who potentially may infringe or free ride or anything on your IP rights, then we go after them. We can go after them in a number of ways to, if you say, I'll allow them to use it, but I want a fee, then we'll offer a license. If you call me and say, Jelani, I want to shut them down, then we shut them down. So we provide the service. It's a monthly monitoring. What we do is we check all the databases throughout the world to make sure that your IP is not popping up where you're not expecting it.
That's fantastic. So I think that's something a lot of people don't think about, and they just wait till they can maybe stumble across somebody using it. Now,
but if you do that, then it's almost too late. If you can find it without searching, then you've lost a lot of money in between the time of you finding it, because infringers are out there. I mean, from bootleg DVDs to knockoffs of handbags. These are IP infringers, and firms like myself, we are out there to protect those people, because if you spent the time to create something great, you don't want someone to free ride off of.
Exactly. Now, we work with a lot of authors and have a lot of authors that come through on our various shows. Talk a little bit about it from that side of it. A lot of people think, the mail yourself the manuscript and that's all you need to show proof. Let us know about that.
Well, I used to be an artist myself, and I've done those things, so I'm not going to knock it too much. But on you're referring to my entertainment practice. One of the things that we do on the entertainment side as well on the IP side is protect people's copyrightable works. I'm always in the idea that you want to get the full benefit of the legal rights that are available to you. So doing a poor man's copyright or whatever you want to call it is not the best, and there's many reasons why. One, if you do actually register your copyright, you put everyone else on notice that you have it. And then you can talk about getting treble damages, some statutory rights as well. So if you have a suit that comes along, once you register your work, then you have better protection than if you didn't.
Okay.
Now, it's not always necessary, but I feel if you're really about your craft,
Right.
if you really want to get your work out there, then you need to have the fullest protection that you can have.
And I think you've already even answered the question I want to ask, but I want to elaborate a little bit on it, because a lot of small businesses, don't take it as seriously, and they think it's a luxury and that it's going to cost thousands of dollars to do that, and would just rather go the route of kind of just taking their chances.
Yeah, that's not smart business.
Yeah.
As we mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that you protect yourself on the front end so that you're not worrying about things on the back end. As far as costs are concerned, I mean, to do a basic search, you're talking a few $100s, very low cost. Monitoring, a couple $100s, and actually even less than that if it depends on the package that you get. So again, the upfront money is so much less than what it would be if you have something happen down the line. And it's really not a luxury because there's so much to intellectual property that people don't think about.
Right.
That's why I suggest that people go about getting an IP strategy done, if not through me, through someone else.
Okay.
The reason being is because we're not just talking about your copyrights, trademarks. We're talking about some of the business processes that you have that are unique to you and you may not even realize it. We're talking about your customer list. If someone comes in and wants to purchase your company, what are they getting? What is the actual value? Of course, you have the brick and mortar, you have the products that you have, but what about the good name of your business? These are intellectual property rights that we protect and make sure that you can monetize them down the line. So again, it's not a luxury. You want to make sure that you protect anything that you're putting your heart and soul into. So if we're talking trademarks, your logo, your slogan, the way you do a certain particular business process, you want to protect that as well. We just recommend that if you're in a small business, that you contact someone like me to find out what exactly your rights are, what assets you may have, and then how do you protect those assets. Something that we do is that when we identify certain intellectual property rights and assets, we break them down and say, okay, these are your strong assets, these are some of your weaker assets, this is how you can bump those up so they're all strong assets. But we also kind of put a timeline out there. These are things you want to protect right now. These are things that you can protect later. You can protect certain things by doing non-disclosure agreements. So if you have employees, if you have people in your distribution pipeline that you don't want them to kind of see what you're doing, and next thing you know, they're creating a similar business. So these are some contracts that you can have in place. So again, you want to do it up front, save the money now, and protect your rights.
And I tell you, I think you're reading my mind, because I wanted to ask you about that, about the non-disclosures. Of course, being small businesses, we talk about the importance of collaborating with other businesses, but at the same time, right, we don't want to give away all of our trade secrets, or we want to at least have them protected.
Right.
Now, so you work with businesces to help them craft those?
Especially when you're talking about collaboration.
Yes.
I'm working with some out-of-state folks right now who have a new entity here in Atlanta, and one of the things that we're working on is making sure we know which side has what right. So if this collaboration goes well and they actually end up selling it to a third party, which is their end goal, who gets what and how much? And then if it doesn't go well, who can use some of the things that they come to the table with. So you identify, I brought this to the table, you brought that to the table. I won't disclose your information, you won't disclose mine. And these are things that you protect in various agreements. The non-disclosure NDA is one of them. But you can't just have a agreement that you pull off of the internet and think that you're safe. Because there are some boilerplate things that are in there that could be out of date, or it may not have enough teeth. You want to have an agreement that if you do have to take someone to court, well, really you want to have an agreement that is strong enough that everybody knows that not to break it,
Right.
so that there's no reason to go to court. But
Right.
even if you do go to court, that you can get an injunction and make sure people don't do what they're not supposed to do. So again, these are things that small businesses need to pay attention to, and we're here to help with that.
Okay, that's good. Now, tell me, what are your thoughts? Because my bottom line thought on this is you don't know what you don't know. But your thoughts on people that use the services like a LegalZoom type service?
Well, and this is not a knock on LegalZoom. It could be a useful tool. I always tell people, though, I've had a number of clients come to me after using LegalZoom.
Okay.
Now, that's a service, but you get what you pay for.
Right.
So, again, if you want to do the best, I would suggest contacting someone directly. But again, LegalZoom is a tool that people use all the time. I do have clients, again, who come to me and say, I did this on LegalZoom, can you help me now?
Right, okay.
And
so maybe a starting point.
But, you could have
yeah.
came to me first, and then it might have been a little smoother.
Yeah.
But again, it's a tool that people can use.
Okay, well, so you all have it from more of an expert. Again, I always go back to you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know to ask a question, you're not going to get the answer out of the system. But maybe a starting point. But start with the professionals definitely. Now, I want to end a little bit. Tell me more about your entertainment law side of your business.
Well, our entertainment practice is a full service practice. Like you mentioned in the opening, we represent a host of people in the entertainment industry, from negotiating contracts to doing publishing deals, to consultation on how to make it in the industry. I've been in and around the entertainment game for over 20 years, doing the legal side of it for almost 10 years. So it's a big part of our practice, but most entertainers know that they need an attorney. A lot of small businesses don't. So that's why we're concentrating today on the IP side and helping those small businesses protect those rights.
Okay, fantastic, and we're glad to hear that because, many of our viewers are small businesses, solopreneurs, and micro-entrepreneurs, as we like to call it. But, one thing we always share with them is you have to invest in your business. If you're serious about your business, it's not just a hobby. Put in what you need to put into that business and grow it. So we appreciate you coming to share that with us.
Thank
now,
you.
Before we go, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you.
Sure, you can reach us at 1-855 for the Miller Law Group, which is TMLG, so FOR-TMLG, or you can reach us directly at 404-781-0794. We're on Twitter at the Miller Law GR, and we're on the internet at www.themillerlawgroup.com.
Fantastic, Jelani. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Everyone, make sure that you reach out to Attorney Jelani Miller. You heard the great information. Please go back, replay this, put your questions down and reach out to him. Follow him on Twitter because I have a feeling you put out some good information and tips out there as well. So definitely do that. Check us out at bizlinks.tv. You can also follow us on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/bizlinkstv, so you can stay up to date on all the great shows that we have coming out. And then for those of you that have a Roku box and you like to watch the shows at home on your TV, you can certainly do that. Keep an eye out for BizLinks TV out there as well. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Pamela Alexander with That's My Biz. Remember, we want to expose your business to the world. Thank you for joining us. Today's show can be viewed on demand on our website at www.bizlinks.tv. If you are interested in having your products, services, or special cause showcased on our program, submit an inquiry to that'smybiz@bizlinks.tv. In addition, information on advertising and hosting your own show can be found on our website at bizlinks.tv.